The fact is, Recep Tayyip Erdogan is a deeply divisive person in Turkish politics, and he knows it. A man who was deputy prime minister until last year, Bülent Arınç, once said, "Half the country hates our guts." And this is true. So by hammering away at one people, one nation, Erdogan was trying to put a gloss on that division. But I'm not sure that it will work. There are large minorities in Turkey. The Kurds, who are about 20% of the population, the Alevis, who are estimated to be as much as 25% of the population. These minorities do not trust Recep Tayyip Erdogan.
Okay, and Jasper, any sort of clues as to why it was that this coup attempt actually failed?
Well, if you want to topple the government, you've got to seize the person who dominates that government. And the coup plotters failed to grab Erdogan. He turned out they didn't even know where he was. It turned out that he was at a seaside resort down in southwestern Turkey. They did not get him, and he managed to connect to an independent television channel and tell his supporters to take to the streets. And the supporters did. And when they did take to the streets, that gave a signal to the plotters and other elements of the military who were not involved in the coup that the people were behind the government. Secondly, the plotters failed to seize the centers of power. The parliament here behind me, the state television and radio building, which is over there in southern Ankara, and the presidential palace. The forces they deployed to these centers of power were simply too small for the job. They did manage to take state radio and television for a time, but then they were forced out. They surrounded the parliament, and the fact that you see trees and lampposts smashed and lying around behind me here testifies to what the tanks did when they rumbled around the parliament building. But their squad was too small to actually go into the parliament and detain the MPs, who continued to broadcast via cell phones that they would not be cowed and that they were going to stand firm in the name of democracy. They never managed to take the presidential palace, which the whole evening remained in the hands of the riot police who answered to the civilian government. I was there.
And Jasper, just lastly, the authorities in Turkey are calling on the United States to extradite a controversial preacher, Fethullah Gülen. And he said just a short while ago, he was interviewed by the Reuters news agency, and he said that he believes that this whole coup could have been staged. It could be some amazing piece of theatre. Is that a theory that's widely shared in Turkey?
It's a theory that is circulating, certainly, and I'll tell you why. Because this coup has so boosted support for Erdogan. He has come across as a victim of military fascism. Let's rally behind him in the name of democracy. Now, I don't know of a single human rights activist in Turkey who would see Recep Tayyip Erdogan as a champion of democracy. In fact, the EU has accused him of drawing Turkey away from European levels of democracy and human rights. But this coup has both boosted his popularity stunningly. And so for that reason, people are saying that it could have been staged. But no serious person here believes that. The coup was too real. 161 people dead, 1,440 people wounded. And the fighting was real and very frightening. I was outside the presidential palace as it was taking place. On 2 occasions, I took refuge in the basement of the building where I was watching the fighting from.